Midday Live on TV3 with me, Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Coming up within the next 1 hour. Madam Charlotte Osei removed over claims of conflict of interest. Accused person in the murder of Major Maxwell Mahama remanded into prison custody following prosecutors' argument that they are unsafe in the police cells. Arab nations leading a boycott of Qatar dropped their list of 13 demands that were made last month. Details of this, business, entertainment and sports all coming up within the next 1 hour. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with TV3. This is Midday Live. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Let's go to the courts now. And Denchobwasi accused persons remanded into prison custody for their own safety. Now, the prosecutor raised security concerns over how they are being treated, and they are being moved around the country. So TV3's Komla Kluche is the one following the developments in court. He's joined us via Skype to let us know what else may be happening in police cells, for which reason they are asking these accused persons to be moved to the prison cells or prison custody. And we move to Komla. Komla, good afternoon and thank you for joining us. What is the reason behind the decision?
Okay, a very good afternoon to you, Martin. Prosecution in the case this morning had told the court that they have had difficulty moving or transporting these accused persons, 19 of them, who have been dotted around various cells across the capital and even beyond, some in the eastern region, Somalia to be specific. When it's time for court, or it's time for them to appear in court, they have had to use their trucks going around to pick them from the various locations. And they thought that it was a Herculean task, and it was not even safe for their own security, looking at the nature of the case they have been involved in. One of the reasons they also cited is the fact that today, for instance, sitting was supposed to resume at 9 a.m. They got to the court with because of the government of the case. They, as we speak now, they're on their way to Nsawam, and they are supposed to reappear in court on August 3 for the committal trial to continue. One last thing that I'm going to say is that the prosecution also did indicate that the docket are on their way. As a matter of fact, he said it is almost at the doorstep of the Attorney General. They have finalized what should be in the docket and have forwarded it to the Attorney General's office for advice on the next line of action they have to take for the prosecution to continue. Martin.
Well, thank you very much, Komla, for that extensive report. And so as we speak, how many in total do we have left standing trial in the Major Mahama murder? How many suspects are being held now?
There are 19.
19. All right. Thank you very much, Komla Kluche. He is TV3's reporter for that comprehensive report from the courts. So if you're just joining us, the news is that all the suspects in the Major Mahama murder trial are now going to be sent to the Nsawam prison custody because they've been in police custody and been dotted around several cells. So for their own safety and security, the prosecution is asking that they all be put together in a particular cell. That actually has its own implications because if you would recall, some lawyers have raised concerns about they building one case if they are together against what the state might have against them. But it is still an unfolding story. We'll keep you posted in our subsequent bulletins. This is Midday Live on TV3. Let's move on to that news that came in yesterday. Now, the Ghana National Fire Service has managed to put out that fire that engulfed a stationary office within the Job 600 building in Parliament. The Fire Service says the exact or extent of damage will not affect the work of MPs, when they returned to work today. The public relations officer of the Ghana National Fire Service, Prince Billy Anaglate, spoke to the media shortly after they put out the fire. Earlier, it was Oseche Mensah-Bonsu who spoke to TV3.
Cocooned in the office of the first deputy speaker, and we're working on a review of the standing orders. And then around, we had just indicated to ourselves that we're going to close at 7. And around 6:20, 6:30, somebody burst in and told us that we needed to step out because smoke was belching in the middle ranks of the tower block. So we all had to scamper out, and then we hurried downstairs. Fortunately, we were able to use the lifts, and it told that it wasn't a dire situation. And getting down and looking up, we saw that smoke indeed was coming out of the 10th floor, the east wing. The fire officers who were around rushed the scene. Another unfortunate development was that the fire tenders, which first came in, could not assess the place because the tube here, when they had to drive under it, it became difficult because of the gadgets on top of the fire tenders. So the first one that endeavored to do it had some damage on the vehicle, and so we had to advise the rest of them to use the back gate.
It has affected the kitchenette as well, where the printer is, but you realize it's coming from where the photocopy and the printer is, and then the ceiling. Those are the things affected. Everything is under control. What we are doing now is to ventilate the place because the whole place is smoke locked. Okay. So we have ventilated. We are making sure that the whole place is clear before we leave the place. The smoke detectors were all working. The extinguishers that we even use in putting out, they were all working. So I think anybody working in that premises should rest assured that they are all protected.
All right, so that's what happened yesterday. The 10th floor of the Job 600, that's the building that houses the 275 members of parliament. So we want to find out whether or not really there has been an impact on the work of the members of parliament who are back to their offices. Evelyn Tingma is TV3's parliamentary correspondent. Evelyn, good evening. I beg your pardon, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Hello, Evelyn.
Hello, Martin.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. What can you tell us with regard to members returning to work? Have they gone up to the building to at least ascertain the cause of the fire?
Martin, members of parliament since morning haven't been able to go to the Job 600 until now, and because the fire service personnel are currently in there assessing the situation. And so the staff and the members of parliament since morning have been loitering about, or so to say, or are hanging around. And then the fire service are assessing the situation. But Martin, I have with me the Deputy Chief Fire Officer, Edward Kweku Ishen, who has been part of the team assessing the fire outbreak yesterday here at the Job 600. And so I want to talk to him shortly. Good afternoon, sir. You're welcome to TV3 News.
Good afternoon, madam.
So the fire service has been assessing the situation here this morning till now. What have you gathered so far?
Yesterday, before that, I want to say thank you to members of parliament, security around, fire officers who are also here for assistance given to the fire service so far. I want to say that the fire occurred at the 10th floor of the east wing B5. And the fire occurred in the printing room. And that is the room where photocopiers and other printers and other things for the floor, for the both east and the west wing are tapped, and that is where the fire occurred.
So this morning, what has been your assessment?
Since the morning, I must say that the chief officer has constituted a team, investigation team, to come out of the cause of the fire. So far, this morning, we have cordoned the gate. We are not allowing anybody entry into the room or the offices. Somebody might tamper with evidence. So we have cordoned the place. And we are conducting investigation to come out with the cause of the fire. So far, this is what we have been doing, going up and down, climbing and coming down in the morning.
So when will you finish with your investigations, and so that members of parliament and other staff will move into the job 600 and do their work?
Definitely, we cannot give you a specific date or time. It depends upon the work and how fast we could do it. For now, we are going for a machine to test all the electrical gadgets in the room so that we can be sure of our conclusion, not to do any guesswork, but come out with the facts. And this is what we are doing. So it depends upon how fast and how best maybe we can establish the cause of the fire. But we hope that maybe by the close of the day or tomorrow, we'll be able to establish the cause of the fire, and then the place will be open for members of parliament.
But what is the extent of damage?
I must say that room, things in the room have bent, the ceilings are charged, the walls, there are ceilings and other things. But it is within that room, it is not expensive. Just about we are grateful to the Almighty God and fire service for the good work they did yesterday.
All right, thank you very much. Martin, that was the Deputy Chief Fire Officer, Edward Kweku-Bichen, and he was just telling us their assessment so far. And Martin, so this is the situation here. So as we speak, Parliament will be starting or will begin proceedings and some few minutes to come. And so,
Evelyn, before you wrap up, Evelyn, before you take leave of us, I actually wanted to find out, you said that the members of Parliament are not in the chamber. They've also not been able to go to their offices because of the assessment being undertaken. Why is that? We thought proceedings in the House or on the floor should start around 10. Do you think it probably is because of the fire?
Right, no, it's not because of the fire. And since Parliament resumed, they started this renovation work on the roof.
Right.
And so since that time, they've been sitting at 12 p.m. And so it's a normal time, and that is why they'll be sitting at 12. So It's not because of the fire. And so members of Parliament have been hanging around the chamber block and the other premises. So as we will bring viewers up to speed the developments here, Martin.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Evelyn Tingma, TV3's parliamentary correspondent, with an update of the fire that engulfed the 10th floor of Job 600 yesterday. We'll keep you posted on the findings from the Ghana National Fire Service as they do their assessment. Let's swing to the Ashanti region now. And as I say, media does get results, not just radio, not just TV, but media in general. Because 3 months after governments clamped down on illegal mining in the country, we are told that the quality of water has improved greatly in most of these mining communities. And what we know is that our correspondents across the country have been monitoring the water variations from as it was when the mining was undertaken and as it is now. And our Ashanti regional correspondent, Ibrahim Abubakar, has joined us to let us know what the level of water is as we speak.
In March this year, the government waged war against illegal mining, locally referred to as Galamsey, and placed 6-month ban on all forms of small-scale mining activities. Well, after 3 months, the interventions of government is yielding some positive results. We visited some of the mining sites here in the Ashanti region, and one thing we've observed that some of the already mine sites have been reclaimed. And as we can see, the most important aspect is the pollution of water bodies. Most of the water bodies in the mining communities in Ashanti region were polluted due to the activities of Galamsey. Now that the activities have been halted, we are seeing some level of improvement. As we can see now, most of the water bodies are gradually regenerating their natural ecology. I will shortly be engaging with the assemblyman for Abodom in the Amansie West District, and find out more from him what they make of government intervention. How was it like? Were you using it for drinking purpose?
Okay, yeah. Before these Galamsey activities, these rivers and waters were used for drinking, especially our parents who have been going to farm, our farmers, they use the water to prepare their food and to drink when they go to farm. So when they are coming from their various homes to farm, they don't come with any water because of these rivers that are around our distance. So when they go, then they use the water as drinking and to prepare their various foods.
Now, after Galamsey activities, how was the situation like?
Yeah, when these Galamsey activities started, to be honest with you, our water bodies became contaminated because you can't use it for its purpose again. As we were using for drinking and for preparing food and other things, it was polluted. So you can't see the natural destiny of the water, so it cannot be used for its purpose again. So it was destroyed and we can't use it again.
Now, it's been 3 months since the government waged war against Galamsey. What do you make of the current state of the river?
Okay. To be honest with you, since 3 months ago, when the government waged war against Galamsey or illegal miners, to be honest, I can say there has been a slight improvement. Not even a slight, there have been an improvement of the water, because now, if not because we are afraid of drinking chemicals, I can say we can drink some of the waters. Some like the small waters that we have, like Jamenini, Ayensuya, and Abarama. This river that we are standing here is called Mene. For that one, since it's big, though it's improving itself, but we can't drink it for now. But as compared to that of the small rivers, I can say there has been a slight changes. There should be some regulations so that as they did previously to destroy the waters will not happen currently again. And we are praying that if the government will put down some measures so that the waters, as it is regaining its natural ecology, we can also use it as we were using before these mining activities. I think it will be better.
Thank you very much. I've been engaging with the assemblyman for Abodom electoral area. My name is Ibrahim Abubakar from Amansie West District of the Ashanti region. TV3.
And he is a man carrying and handling the Ashanti region for us. So that's some good news, positive news coming in from the Ashanti region. We'll be looking at the other regions subsequently in our bulletins to let you know the impact that the fight against Galamsey is having. Some water bodies are becoming clearer and gradually becoming drinkable. And we have that on evidence. Okay, so the president yesterday at the encounter also mentioned that he was willing to put his job on the line to ensure that at least the fight against Galamsey is succeeded, or we win as a country. Those people who were raising allegations against his commitment, he said he is 100% committed. So we hit the streets to find out from Ghanaians what they made of the president's commitment, to the extent that he said there was no guarantee that he might even stand in the 2020 elections because he's committed to fighting this Galamsey. This is what Ghanaians had to say.
The president, in his media encounter yesterday, touched on various aspects of the economy, education, health, and agriculture. But topical among the issues was his resolve to stop Galamsey, even if it means losing the 2020 elections. What do you think?
It's good, and I even support him of doing that. And I think by using the force and that one, I disagree with. It have to go in step by step.
Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, because he's bent on, he's ready for the work. So let's give him the chance to see what happened.
The Galamsey, the way it's spoiling our land. Then in future, you know that those who come after us may not get any, even the children do not see certain things that we are seeing now. So I think they have to stop it.
I, for one, have had a personal experience with him at that time, 2012. And he's more of a prolific man. I mean, friendly, But when he means it, he means it. It's going to be hard. But if he's going to put his election at stake for this purpose, and it's worth that we follow him. But I believe it's about time a president stands up and says, I'm going to stop something, and really does.
Galamsey has been in existence for a very long time, and it's about time we put a stop to it. So either it is political opinion or it is an individual interest to stop Galamsey. I think he has the right to go ahead, whether he loses or he wins the 2020 election. I think it's a good initiative.
Said he can do it, so we are waiting for him to do it.
If he take that steps, I think he's been bold, because if he's saying that if bringing Galamsey to an end will let him lose 2020 election, at least everybody will know what he has come to do. But if he's able to do it, I believe that 2020 will give him the mandate to continue.
All right, so this is still Midday Live on TV3. Let's move to our biggest story we're looking at for you this afternoon. Now, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Madam Charlotte Osei, risks losing her job following a petition by the Electoral Commission Union for her removal. The union claimed that she took a unilateral decision to enter into contracts without recourse to the procurement laws and also Administrative Act. Now, what we also know is that a number of allegations have been leveled against her by workers of the Electoral Commission or the Union of the Electoral Commission, and saying that even the latest endowment fund brouhaha, for which reason the IOCO asked some 3 officials to step aside, was initiated by the chairperson, Madam Charlotte Osei, without recourse to lay down procedure. And I would just want to give you some of the allegations leveled against Madam Charlotte Osei. One is that she, first of all, has given out certain contracts. And I just want to, if you would just indulge me, here are some of the... Okay, so we'll give you the breakdown of exactly what the Union of the Electoral Commission have leveled against her, including the fact that she has given out contracts to her cronies. That is a quote from their statement. We've been joined by Edemson and his Citizens Movement Against Corruption, and I would want to put a few questions to him. Good afternoon, Edem, and thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon to your viewers as well.
I'm sure you've been following this development with regard to what the Union of the Electoral Commission have leveled against the chairperson, Madam Charlotte Osei. They say, amongst others, that she called for a contract and gave it out. Let me just read it briefly to you, if you'd indulge me. She said, she has gone contrary to acts of the laid down procedure. An example, there was an act of the Commission's Tender Review Committee, and she gave out a 3.9 million contract for the demarcation and partitioning of an office complex for her commission. Acts as the Commission's Tender Review Committee contrary to the Procurement Procedure Act, and awarded some $14 million worth of contract to cronies for the construction of prefabricated district offices. How does this hit you? Do these really amount to acts of corruption, you think?
Well, first of all, let me say that these are very serious allegations. And if they are true, they are certainly, in some cases, then they would influence some level of corruption. Indeed, they don't just affect the person of the EC, who ought to take steps immediately to speak to these issues, but it also brings into disrepute the institution of the EC itself, because the allegations amount to saying that systems in the EC do not work. Because for any EC to be able to do the kind of things that they have said she has done, not only raises doubt about the robust nature of systems in place, checks and balances, but also suggests that our EC chair is not abiding by what is expected of her. These allegations are serious. There's a sense in which they are also quite surprising. The angle that does not make it very comfortable acceptable.
There seemed to be a bit of lag. There seemed to be a bit of lag in your communication.
Angle to it, and I wish that was not part of the statement. And so that begins to undermine the allegations.
Adam, kindly repeat your last submission for me. The bit about, you said they said something that undermines.
Yes, I was saying that.
Right.
Yes, they place a political angle on the allegations by saying that she abrogated contracts that would have inured to potential MPP people and so on and so forth. There are some aspects of the allegations that place a political twist that tend to also undermine the credibility of the allegations. I wish these allegations were just straightforward without any political angles to it so that we can deal with the substance of the issues.
What do you make of the fact that they had to wait until now to raise some of these concerns? Because one other issue they raised was that when she even took office, she was also holding another position at the Ghana. Let me actually just get the exact words, because they said she was holding 2 offices while she took office as the head of the Electoral Commission, and that is also a conflict of interest matter. But what do you make of the fact that it is now these workers are raising these allegations? What may have triggered it?
Yes, that's worrying, because we know that, in the statement they say that she so handedly got Yoko to investigate this financial issue. I would have thought that is a plus, that anybody who is allowing independent institutions of state to come look into matters of malfeasance should be commended for that. And so you are quite right that the timing is also suggestive. That is it possible that some of these people are affected by the current ongoing Yoko investigation and are therefore trying to raise a lot of mud, etc. Whatever the case may be, these are issues that must be dealt with robustly. She needs to come out. I would be quite surprised if a lawyer of her standing would make some of the very basic mistakes they have alleged that she has made. Right. Whichever the case is, this is not good for our institutions of state, especially the EC, and it must be dealt with the seriousness that it deserves.
Right. Thank you for speaking with us. Just before you go, do you know what probable sanctions there could be if these allegations are true? Could it just be she being taken out of power or office?
Well, there's a lot of, how will I put it? There are a lot of implications to if that were done. It probably would be a very difficult precedent to set because of the political angle that part of these allegations have. They are asking for impeachment. Let's first get the facts of the matter out. She needs to respond to them, and then we can see what happens next. In terms of sanctions, obviously, at the end of the day, the ultimate is to replace the chair and to have somebody who we think is can run the institution. But I think it's early days yet. I'm not quite sure whether a lot of these allegations put forward will stand the test of time. And we do not need this kind of thing at this point as we are developing our democracy. It's important that the EC comes out quickly to speak to them, and if further actions and investigations ought to be done, I think the other institutions of state that ought to take this up need to do so as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Thank you very much for making time to speak with us. Edem Senanu is a citizens movement against corruption. He is a lead there and clearly sharing his position on this story, which broke late last night, early this morning, which is that the chair of the Electoral Commission, Madam Charlotte Osei, risks losing her job following a petition by union staff of the Electoral Commission for her removal. And here are some of the key pointers that the union raised in their submission. First, they say she breached a procurement law, which some call sole sourcing, and said that she is alleged to have single-handedly engaged in the following. 1, awarded a $25,000 contract to a South African company, Quasar Limited, to redesign the commission's logo. That logo had its own story around it, and she said they liked it and they will use it. So we'll come to that later. She abrogated a contract with Supertech Limited, STL, renegotiated same contract and re-awarded it to another company at a higher fee, which is the company that handled the voters registration exercise. Thirdly, she submitted an estimated amount of over 1 million Ghana cedis for the renovation of her office, that's her residence, I beg your pardon, the chair's residence, and also went on further to indicate that she's alleged to have engaged in acts that have a conflict of interest, and as chair, she entered a different agreement without recourse to the Tender Review Committee and then the Entity Tender Committee of the Electoral Commission. And she's also alleged to have sole-handedly petitioned IOCO on the alleged misappropriation of the Staff Endowment Fund. That is a position some people think that was good, in that she wanted to clear allegations of corruption. So she reported to IOCO so IOCO can undertake investigations. But they say she shouldn't have done that, or she did that contrary to laid down procedure. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to some legal brains on this. Justice Sremsai is a legal practitioner and a lecturer as well, to help us understand what processes one can undertake if you want to take out someone in a high office as that of the Electoral Commission, probably an Article 71 office holder or 68 or so. Justice, good afternoon and thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Right, to start with, if the union staff have these allegations against the Electoral Commission chair, what is the right procedure they can use? Is it just petitioning the president, or they have other alternatives of getting her removed?
Well, thank you. The procedure that they may use will be found under Chapter 7, read together with Chapter 11 of the Constitution. Now, it is a 4-stage procedure. The first stage is the petitioning stage. And at the petitioning stage, you may have 3 sub-stages. The first of the sub-stage would be the petitioners putting together their petition. The second is they lodge the petition with the president. And then the third of the petitioning stage is for the president to forward the petition to the Chief Justice. Now, the second broad stage of the removal process is what I call the prima facie stage, where the Chief Justice is required to review the petition and then determine whether a prima facie case has been made against the accused person, in this case the commissioner. Now, prima facie case means that there is sufficient evidence which would warrant that the accused person is called upon, to answer, and which also means that her failure or inability to answer to those questions would mean that there's evidence. So the prima facie case presents simply means that there's enough evidence for you to come and answer. And if you're able to answer and explain away the accusations, you are good to go.
Okay.
Now, after the Chief Justice determines whether or not there is a prima facie case made out against the accused person, she will then go ahead and form a committee, and this is what I call the committee stage, a committee of 5 persons. Now, this is the composition of that committee. There will be 3 persons appointed by the Judicial Council, and then 2 members also appointed by the Council of State. Now, the 2 members that may be appointed by the Council of State, none of them is supposed to be an MP, a member of the Council of State, or a lawyer. Then, the 3 members that the Judicial Council would appoint are supposed to be justices of the Superior Court, which means that they may come from either the High Court, the Court of Appeal, or the Supreme Court. Now, the job of this committee is to take evidence in camera and also to assess whether or not combining the allegations with the evidence and also with the responses that may be given by the accused person, in this case, the commissioner,
right,
whether or not the allegations are true. So basically, if we should put it in terms of a court, hearing, they are going to determine whether or not the accusations that have been made against the commissioner or the chairperson of the commission are true. And if their findings suggest that the allegations are founded, then the committee would, based on their findings, make, a recommendation to the Chief Justice back. So from the petitioners to the President, to the Chief Justice, to the committee, and then back to the Chief Justice, and then Chief Justice forwards the finding of the committee to the President. Now, when the petition gets to the President is now bound to proceed along the recommendations that the committee gave. In other words, if the committee finds out that the allegations are founded, they will make a recommendation for the removal, or let's say for the suspension of the commissioner, or otherwise. And the President is bound to follow, this recommendation on the advice of the Judicial Council.
Thank you for.
Now, you probably want to find out the grounds of removal. What are the grounds?
At least, Justice, we would have to thank you and leave it here. We just wanted to know the levels of procedure that is needed to remove an Article 71 office holder, and you've clearly outlined that. Hopefully, in the subsequent bulletins, we'll come back for a more detailed breakdown of this. But at least what we know for now is that the petitioning has been done. We've been speaking with Justice Sremsa. He's a legal practitioner and a lecturer as well. And we'll keep an eye on that development, because the EC chair is being asked to leave office, or some workers of the Electoral Commission want her to leave. They've petitioned the President. TV3 will keep you posted on subsequent developments. And in other news this afternoon, 8-year-old Abu Sharifa needs 19,000 cedis to undergo surgery at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and it is because she has been diagnosed of a brain tumor.
Abu Sharifa, who lives with her parents in Asante, Abuakwa in the Ashanti region, has a brain tumor which was detected in the last 6 months. Her mother recounted Sharifa after returning from school one day complained about intense pain in her body, claiming that was the beginning of her sickness. The condition deteriorated, resulting in her inability to walk. Sharifa can neither speak nor see clearly. She cannot swallow food, compelling relatives to feed her through the nose. Her parents have spent all they have on her and now want public support. Abu Sharifa needs 19,000 cedis to enable doctors at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital operate on her. People touched by her condition should kindly send their donations to TV3's Social Support Fund account 6010603927 at any Zenith Bank branch, or send their donations to the premises of TV3.
We're pleading with your kind heart to donate to save the life of little Sharifa. We'll be back with more on Midday Live. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us. Let's do business now. And a group calling itself Concerned Assembly Members and some market women of Cape Coast have embarked on a demonstration to register their grievance about what they call a bias in the allocation of stores at the new Kotokraba market. The group marched through some principal streets of Cape Coast. Now, our reporter in the central region has more in the story.
Tuesday morning, and traders were just about starting business for the day. The demonstration, however, started mid-morning. In large numbers, they marched from the Infansipim School Junction to the business district area, through to London Bridge, and then on some principal streets. According to the demonstrators, some undeserving traders have been allocated stores at the expense of about 60 traders who originally occupied the old market.
I'm not fighting for myself. I'm fighting for about 80 people whose names didn't come up. And it's not fair. We are there, we have a list of more than 80, 60 people who previously were not in the market.
The demonstrators later arrived at the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly to present a copy of their petition in a court suit to the Cape Coast Metropolitan Chief Executive and the Assembly. The leader of the group, George Arthur, addressed the gathering.
We are going to put injunction on the market, and we are also cautioning the market women who have already been into the market that they shouldn't dare. From today, they should move their items, otherwise they will lose it.
The new Kotokuraba market was secured by the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly through an Exim Bank loan and was completed in November 2016. The new Kotokuraba market was secured by the Cape Coast Metropolitan Assembly through an Exim Bank loan and was completed in November 2016. The allocation of stores has, however, resulted in confusion.
In other business news this afternoon, the Ghana Investment Promotion Council, GIPC, has implored African innovators to register their work to attract the needed investments. Chief Executive Officer of GIPC, Yofi Grant, was speaking at the Africa Innovation Forum in Accra.
The Innovation Forum assembled innovators from around the world. Top 10 African innovators showcased their innovations aimed at supporting smallholder farmers, detecting diseases, as well as security surveillance gadgets. Most disturbing to the GIPC at the forum was the lack of registration of African innovations. Despite 11 million innovations registered by China, South Africa has registered only 57 of its innovations, 64 by Mauritius and 80 by Kenya.
We still have a lot of work to do to bring in absorbing the innovation on the continent into the global world. Until we can actually get them to register, they will miss out on a big pool of resources that the world offers.
The Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Frimpong Boateng, reiterated government's determination to invest in research and innovations.
Technologies are in the areas such as energy production, transportation, agriculture, road construction, waste management, security for both domestic and industrial purposes, and cyber security.
Founder of the African Innovation Foundation, Jean-Claude Bastos de Marias, emphasized on the need to reward African innovators.
This year, an incredible growth in subscriptions. We have had 2,530 submissions, and coming from 48 countries.
That's it for Business on Midday Live on TV3. Time now for sports. I hope there is a Manchester United story in there. We've been joined by Yao Posilavi with the sports.
Well, there is a Manchester United story.
Fantastic.
Among other stories coming up next. Hi, good afternoon. Time now for sports here on Midday Live. My name is Yao Ofusulabi. On to our first story now. After 2 days of dialogue and deliberation amongst top officials of African football in Rabat, a decision has finally been reached. Now, the African Cup of Nations is set to be expanded to 24 teams, and the dates will be moved further to June and July. The competition will still continue to be held every 2 years after recommendations on the tournament at a symposium in Morocco on Wednesday. The decision could be ratified as early as Thursday by CAF's Executive Committee when the body meets later this week. Now, the timing of the Nations Cup has been an age-old conundrum as it was played in the middle of the league season in Europe, thereby getting players in complex situations with their teams. The recommendations were made after a workshop on the future of the tournament, which included much of CAF's bigwigs, and the decision is expected to be approved as soon as possible. Now, captain of the Black Stars, Asamoah Gyan, has completed an AstroTurf at his alma mater, Accra Academy Senior High School, and the facility was commissioned on Tuesday. Now, the skipper of the Stars says the development is part of his contribution to society.
Over the past 5 years, my foundation, the Asamoah Gyan Foundation, has touched the lives of many Ghanaians in various ways and have undertaking the landmark projects. I may not be the best talent ever, but this pitch will produce great talent from my hard work and sacrifice for the great nation. I haven't got much to say, but I would like to thank everybody for coming. I grant God's wisdom, and I know this school will produce the next Asamoah one day.
And the Argentine challenger to Isaac the Royal Stone Dogbe's WBO International Super Bantamweight title, Javier Chacon, has arrived in Accra full of confidence. He was met on arrival at the Kotoka International Airport by Isaac Dogbe and his team, who promised a good fight in the ring. Now, that Saturday, July 22nd bout at the Bukom Boxing Arena here in Accra is also the final eliminator to the WBO world title. Dogbe, who holds a record of 16 wins from 16 fights, is expected to add the Argentine, who has lost 3 fights, to his growing list of victims. So that is it there. Isaac Dogbe's next bout is on July 22nd here in Accra. That's all the sports here on Midday Live. My name is Yao Fosulabi. There's more sports news on our website, 3news.com. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Yao Fosulabi. And yeah, waiting for Manchester United. More news from there. Jose, 15 years. I endorse that. Bam. This is still Midday Live. Time now for international news.
The 4 Arab nations leading a boycott of Qatar have dropped the list of 13 demands tabled last month. At a briefing for a group of UN correspondents in New York on Tuesday, diplomats from Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain and Egypt said they now want Qatar to accept 6 broad principles. These include commitment to combat terrorism and extremism and to end acts of provocation and incitement. There was no immediate comment from Qatar, which denies aiding terrorists. The head of the French armed forces has resigned after a clash with President Macron over budget cuts. Jean de Villar, 60, said with a cut of 850 million euros in the military spending budget for 2017, he could no longer guarantee the durability of the army model that he considered necessary to ensure France's protection. President Macron wants to get the overall French budget deficit below a European Union cap of 3% of national income for 2017.
Time now for entertainment news.
Entertainment news is brought to you by
In entertainment news this afternoon, physically challenged musician Pazzo Joe has urged movie makers to stop imitating people with disability in their films. The 25-year-old rapper told Owusu Warai he feels extremely shattered seeing such mockery intended scenes and wants filmmakers to stop that practice.
So I got it. Yeah.
When I see them, it makes me sad. Yeah, it makes me sad.
The Kaneshi-based physically challenged musician Pazzo Joe is not all happy with movie makers. He feels dejected seeing movie scenes mock and mimic people with disability. The up-and-coming musician noted the torture the disabled are exposed to by this, despite the humor it adds to the scenes. The rapper expects movie makers to be professional with their work and spare them the torture.
To me, I see it as mocking. That's their work that they do, but I'm pleading on behalf of my friends who are disabled that they should limit it for us.
After years of seeing such scenes repeated in movies, the Ayele composer is convinced they are intended to make mockery of the physically challenged, a trend he finds unhealthy. Pazzo Joe wants Ghanaians to join his crusade to check the practice.
We were in the same room watching the movie, and I saw them when doing such things. It reminds me why I became like this. What I would tell them is they should know what we are feeling. They should tell their directors and producers to check out those things and to limit such behavior. And I think that will help.
Renamed Shadrach Kojo Menimbre, Pazo Joe released his fourth single, Ayele, in January 2017.
What the mighty Bokumo, what I mean, I know, yes, who, Shama Finger, Jimmy Trapia, me lead me, see me, I'm under Roma, Shama Shoulder, look sugar, hey mama, come closer.
Ain't don't envy, Ebi an hour, Ebe baby. Ain't act crazy, hey baby, so act crazy. We go dance till eternity.
He is currently saving to shoot a video for the love song.
How has it been for you? Has it been very difficult raising the money to do it?
It's very difficult because nowadays when you want to shoot a video, I think you have to shoot a clear and portable video for your fans to, watch it. So that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for someone who can help me to bring the video out.
Before we end this interview, let's drop the mic to Pazo Joe and see him do what he does best.
Nana me guide. Me spend too much on the hater. What drop a sound, we release the volume, me punch beat or your meda. Trigger click a gunshot. Or punch if it one full stop. I'm killing the beat, you are feeling the heat. Me wrap your shot to the core pot. Can you believe him? Oh yeah, Pazo, yeah.
Cute, nice lines there from Paco Joe. Okay, so that's how we wrap up the bulletin. Thank you very much for watching. Visit 3news.com for some more news. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Do have a pleasant afternoon. And as always, stay positive. Bye for now.